What I'm about to share, it's not for the faint of heart, nor for those who like their world neat and tidy. Some places don't just contain evil. They are evil woven into the very fabric of their existence. And they don't just scare you. They change you. They seep into your bones, twist your thoughts, until the person looking back from the mirror isn't quite the one you remember. I'm telling you this not for sport, but as a warning. A heavy truth I've carried for years about a place called Blackwood Manor. Forget your haunted house tales. This was something far more real, far more hungry. It stood on a rise overlooking Oakhaven, a timber town nestled deep in an eastern valley. Victorian, imposing, built by a man named Silas Blackwood, a timber baron with a reputation as dark and tangled as the woods surrounding his creation. Rumors clung to him even a century after his death. Strange affiliations, cruel obsessions, whispers that he'd poured his own malevolent essence into the house's foundations, making it less a home and more an extension of his possessive will. The house had sat empty for 2 decades before I got involved. The last occupants, the Holloway family, simply vanished one morning. Breakfast half-eaten, car in the drive, doors locked from inside. Gone. Police found nothing. The town whispered, of course. Lights in empty windows, sounds on the wind, crying, laughter that curdled your blood. They said Silas built it on something older, darker, a burial ground, a place of ritual. They said the house remembered, and it waited. My involvement was professional, back when I was younger, perhaps more arrogant, involved in specialized property assessment for estates with complications. The distant heirs wanted Blackwood Manor assessed, its stigma documented before a sale. My team, myself, young eager Miller, sharp historian Sarah Chen, went in expecting drafts, rodents, maybe some unsettling history. Standard procedure. We were skeptics armed with checklists and EMF meters. We were fools. The drive up should have warned us. The road dwindling to a track swallowed by ancient, interlocking trees, plunging us into premature twilight. The sudden, unnatural silence. No birds, no insects, just the crunch of tires on neglected earth. And then the house itself, not crumbling, but waiting, intact and watchful, the stained glass windows like dark, calculating eyes. The air grew heavy, tasting metallic, like ozone. Stepping out of the car, the silence pressed in, thick as velvet, heavy as a judgment. Even Miller, usually brimming with confidence, looked unnerved. Sarah, our unflappable historian, clutched her recording kit tighter. We hadn't even crossed the threshold, but Blackwood Manor was already working on us, sizing us up, extending its cold, calculating welcome. We were there to assess a property. The house, it turned out, was assessing us. And it was hungry for new occupants, or perhaps new fuel. The weight of its attention was immediate, palpable, a promise of horrors lurking behind the peeling paint and shadowed windows. We were walking into the spider's parlor. Mistaking it for just another job. The heavy oak door swung inward with a silence that felt wrong, releasing a breath of stale air thick with dust, decay, and something else. A cloying sweetness. The grand foyer was a mausoleum of neglect, dust thick as snow. Yet the silence wasn't empty. It was heavy, listening. Sunlight struggled through grimy stained glass, painting sickly patterns on the floor. I sent Miller to the east wing, Sarah to the west, standard procedure. I took the central hall. Almost immediately, the anomalies began. On a dusty console table, a leather-bound diary lay open, startlingly clean. Eleanor Holloway's, dated just before the disappearance, mentioning unease, the house feeling watchful. Her son David talking to a friend in the walls called Mr. Shadow. A chill snaked down my spine. This wasn't just decay. It was a staged scene. Comms crackled. Sarah, unnerved, reported dolls with eyes that followed her. Then later, a portrait of Silas Blackwood in the study whose painted eyes seemed disturbingly lifelike, tracking her movements. A profound cold spot emanated from the fireplace below it. Miller's voice came through, strained. He'd found the dining room table set for a meal never finished, plates thick with dust. Except for one place setting at the head of the table, polished clean, waiting, like a guest of honor had arrived long after the family vanished. Coincidence? No, the house was curating these moments, leading us, playing with us. I headed upstairs, drawn by a faint, childish humming that started and stopped, teasingly. The master bedroom held another clean object amidst the dust, Eleanor's silver-backed hairbrush on the nightstand. More staging. The next room, a child's, felt colder, scratched into the wall near the window. He sees me, beside a crude drawing of a tall, thin figure looming over a smaller one. Mr. Shadow. The hair on my neck prickled. This wasn't just a haunting. It was the residue of profound terror. Then the humming returned, clearer, laced with whispered words. Found you. Come and play. Stay forever. It drew me towards a nursery door, slightly ajar. Inside, the air was freezing. Faded animal wallpaper seemed to leer. Toys lay scattered, dust thick, except for a path of small footprints leading to the center of the room, stopping before the darkest corner. From that corner came the whispering, mimicking a child but layered with ancient malice. Drawings on the wall showed Mr. Shadow larger, more terrifying. Talons extended it, looming over the child figure, with one word scrawled beneath. Mine. My flashlight found a small music box under the crib. As I touched it, an overwhelming wave of sadness and possessive longing washed over me. Not my emotions, but invasive, bleeding into me from the house. I put it down, shaken, needing to get out. I turned to leave. Eslam. The nursery door crashed shut, locking me in. Darkness swallowed the room, and from the corner, the whispering returned. No longer mimicking anything, just ancient power and cold amusement. Stay, play, forever. Then a new sound, the slow, deliberate creak of the empty rocking chair starting to move, back and forth, in the suffocating dark. The house wasn't just presenting scenes anymore. It was interacting. It was trapping. The assessment had become a siege. Trapped in the nursery's freezing darkness, the rhythmic creaking of the empty rocking chair grating on my nerves. Panic threatened to overwhelm me. My radio yielded only static laced with faint, mocking whispers. My flashlight beam cut through the gloom, momentarily freezing the rocking chair mid-creak. It revealed the music box, now placed deliberately in the center of the room at the end of the child's footprints. Beneath it, hidden by dust, I found symbols scratched into the floorboards, complex ritualistic markings, old and deeply unsettling. This wasn't just a child's room. It was a focal point, a place of power. A sudden crash from downstairs, followed by Miller's muffled shout, shattered the silence. Then, my radio went dead. The house was isolating me, directing me. Just as I braced to smash down the nursery door, it clicked open silently from the other side. An invitation, or a release into a larger trap. I raced downstairs, finding the foyer empty but charged with menace. The east wing hallway reeked of decay and something acrid. Miller's flashlight lay on the floor outside the dining room, its beam pointing uselessly at the ceiling. Inside, chaos. The heavy table was overturned, chairs shattered, porcelain strewn everywhere. Miller was slumped against the wall, bleeding from a gash on his forehead. It came from the wall. He gasped, pointing to where a massive sideboard lay ripped away, revealing a plastered-over alcove marked with the same symbols as the nursery floor. He tried to move the sideboard. It had thrown him across the room before tearing itself free. Amidst the wreckage, impossibly, the single clean place setting sat pristine and undisturbed on the overturned table's surface, defying gravity and chaos. Before we could process this, Sarah's voice screamed through the radio, sharp with panic. The portrait eyes. They're not paint. Something's in the fireplace. Then, static. We rushed towards the West Wing study, the air growing painfully cold. The study door was locked tight, frost blooming on its surface. From within came a faint, rhythmic scraping, metal on stone, and Sarah's terrified whimpering. As we prepared to break it down, a low, guttural chuckle echoed from inside, dry and ancient. The knob turned slowly, unlocking, but the door remained held fast. Then, looking back down the freezing hallway, we saw him, a tall, impossibly thin silhouette against the dim light from the foyer. Silas Blackwood, standing motionless, radiating cold authority, blocking our retreat, caught between the known horror behind us and the unknown terror ahead. We chose Sarah. Miller's wrench shattered the lock. We burst into the study. Sarah huddled on the floor, staring at the massive fireplace. Hands, she sobbed. Old hands, reaching from the soot. From the blackness of the flue, skeletal hands emerged. Gray, desiccated skin over bone, long claws scrabbling blindly. More followed, attached to unseen shapes deeper within. The portrait of Blackwood above the mantelpiece came alive. Eyes glowing red, mouth stretched into a triumphant grin. It was watching, directing. The hands surged towards us. One brushed my arm, a touch of numbing, invasive cold. Miller yelled, pointing to a heavy brass fireplace screen. Together, we wrestled it into place, blocking the hearth just as the hand slammed against the mesh, bony fingers clawing through the gaps. The portrait's red eyes blazed. We grabbed Sarah and fled the study, back into the hallway. The apparition of Silas Blackwood was gone. Vanished, but escape felt further away than ever. The house had shown its hand, its power, and its chilling intelligence. We raced back to the foyer, dragging the traumatized Sarah between us. Relief surged as we reached the massive front door, our gateway to the outside world. I pulled the heavy handle. It swung inward smoothly, revealing not the overgrown drive, but solid red brick, floor to ceiling, side to side, impossibly mortared, seamless, an illusion, no, real, solid brick. The house had sealed our escape route. Panic clawed. Miller pointed to a heavy, bolted door beneath the main staircase. Cellar access. The blueprints had shown another entrance there, and potentially an old drainage tunnel leading towards the river. It was a desperate gamble, plunging deeper into the house's bowels. But it was our only option. We forced the rusty bolts back, the screech echoing in the dead air. Prying the warped door open released a wave of profound cold, the stench of damp earth, mildew, and something metallic, coppery, old blood. Steep stone steps descended into utter darkness. We moved down cautiously, the only sounds the drip of water and the crunch of bones underfoot, small animal bones at first, and unmistakably human fragments scattered across the packed earth floor. Ribs, vertebrae, a femur. The cellar was a charnel house. Deeper within, a low, rhythmic thumping started, heavy and wet, vibrating through the ground. We followed the sound, drawn towards a wider chamber. There, standing knee-deep in churned, glistening mud, was a figure. Bulky, hunched, draped in rotting sacking, its back to us. It rhythmically pounded the earth with a heavy, stained mallet, and darker fragments splattered. It wasn't digging, mallet. It was compacting remains, pounding them into the foundation, feeding the house. Slowly, it turned its shrouded head towards us, emitting a low, guttural growl. We saw the tunnel entrance then, on the far side of the chamber, our only hope of escape. But the figure stood between us and it, held ready. We tried to slip past. Sarah stumbled. The figure lunged, blocking the tunnel, its growl intensifying. Miller yelled, darting for a heavy chain lying near a pillar. I distracted the creature, shouting, shining my light at its shrouded face. It hesitated, enraged. Miller grabbed the chain, swung it, wrapping it around the figure's legs. He yanked hard. It crashed down with an earth-shaking thud. Now, the tunnel. We scrambled towards the low opening, plunging into the suffocating darkness beyond. As we fled, Miller glanced back. A section of the sacking on the figure's head had torn. "Boss," he choked out later, deep in the slime-slick tunnel, under the sack. No face. Just thick roots, pulsing, embedded with dirt and human teeth. A root guardian animated by the house, tending its foundations. We pushed on, guided by the growing sound of rushing water. Finally, light. An opening, choked with roots, led out onto the muddy riverbank. We scrambled free, gulping the cool, damp air, the house looming silently on the rise behind us, watching. We had survived the cellar, the guardian, the physical horrors. But as we look back, a light flickered in the nursery window. Had we truly escaped its influence? Or had it merely released us, carrying its infection outwards? The chilling thought resonated. Maybe you never truly leave Blackwood Manor. The escape through the woods was a blur of terror and exhaustion. Every shadow seemed to writhe. Every sound was a threat. Blackwood Manor loomed behind us, a psychic weight pressing down, its unseen eyes following our retreat. Reaching the car felt like breaching the surface after drowning. We drove back through a world that seemed suddenly unreal. The ordinary town of Oakhaven, a fragile facade against the ancient evil we knew nested just above it. The motel room offered no sanctuary. Sleep brought shared nightmares, endless corridors, grasping roots, faces shifting into horror. During the day, paranoia gnawed. My scraped arm refused to heal, the skin turning cold and gray. Miller suffered splitting headaches and ringing ears. Sarah trembled uncontrollably, whispering about vines crawling in the patterns on the wall. News reports spoke of strange animal behavior near the manor. Its influence was bleeding outwards. Then the haunting escalated at the motel. I saw Silas Blackwood's grinning face replace my own in the mirror. The lights flickered and died. The television switched on, broadcasting static that morphed into the guttural sounds of the Root Guardian, displaying chilling footage from the cellar. Our escape, shown from the Guardian's perspective. We couldn't run. It had followed us, or worse, it was inside us. The realization was crushing. Hiding was futile. Conventional help was useless. Only one insane option remained. We go back, I said, the words tasting like defeat and grim necessity. We need answers. Maybe. Answers. Maybe we can find a way to stop it. Miller was horrified. Sarah resigned, but we knew it was the only path left. A desperate gamble against inevitable consumption. The return was heavy with dread. We bypassed the bricked-up front door, forcing the cellar hatch. The Guardian was gone, but the oppressive presence remained. We ascended into the house proper, moving like ghosts through the silent, waiting rooms. In the study, amidst the overpowering cold radiating from the fireplace where skeletal hands had clawed, Sarah found it. Silas Blackwood's grimoire, hidden beneath mundane ledgers, filled with dark rituals, symbols and chilling entries detailing how the Holloways were deliberately sacrificed, their life force used as fuel to perpetuate Blackwood's existence and power the house's guardians. The moment we understood, the house reacted. A low hum filled the room, emanating from the fireplace. The cold intensified, frost racing across the stones. Above the mantel, the portrait of Silas Blackwood awakened. Eyes glowed burning red, painted lips stretched into a malevolent grin. The brass screen blocking the hearth began to rattle violently, buckling outwards. The bound spirits within were being roused. "He knows," I yelled, the cold in my marked arm flaring agonizingly. The study door slammed shut, plunging us into darkness lit only by the portrait's hateful stare. The rattling reached a crescendo, with a final screech of tearing metal. The fireplace screen ripped apart. Darkness surged towards us, and the awakened master of Blackwood Manor prepared to claim its final fuel.